Rugby was first played in Australia in the middle of the 19th century. In 1863, Sydney University became the first rugby football club to be established in Australia. Other clubs emerged across a growing city, and in 1874, club rugby in Sydney officially began. Post-World War I, the Shute Shield was born from tragedy. While playing for Sydney University in a trial game at Manly Oval, front rower Robert Shute, a World War I veteran, was injured in a tackle and later died of his injuries. His tackler was a man called Jack Shute, no relation. The incident had such an impact on the rugby community that a shield was produced and named in Robert's honour, and today that shield is awarded to the winners of the Sydney first grade competition. 100 years on, the Shute Shield remains the premier club rugby competition in Australia.
Well, I think the Shute Shield and the equivalent in Brisbane are the foundation of Australian rugby. You know, we've always been a strong club system.
Shute Shield and club rugby has more importance because it is the intrinsic connector to the community game.
For those who are aspirational, Shute Shield is crucial. Shute Shield has been the lifeblood of Australian rugby.
In Shute Shield first grade, there are a lot of players there who have aspiration to be professional rugby players.
Traditionally, the best players came out of the clubs, then went on and played for Sydney or Brisbane, and then went on and played for their states, and then if they were lucky enough, went on and played for the Wallabies.
It's been the breeding ground of so many fantastic Wallabies. Great place to cut your teeth.
The Shute Shield, and indeed other great competitions in other capital cities, are often seen as a pathway into professional rugby.
Going from schoolboys into professional rugby, you'll struggle to really make that jump. And I feel you need the experience of the Shute Shield to be able to get a feel for that physicality, tap into the mental side of the game, being picked, being dropped, which is a real experience in rugby that you do come across.
From a professional perspective and I think an emotional perspective, you know, the Shute Shield club rugby in Sydney is the beating heart of rugby in Australia.
Even looking at the Waratahs squad at the moment, I think something like 95% of the guys are tied to Shute Shield clubs. If you get thrown straight into a Super Rugby side, young guys struggle to deal with that. I've been there.
New South Wales has always been, you know, the engine room of Australian rugby, and increasingly overseas we're seeing clubs and markets in Japan and France coming and the USA coming and looking at the Shute Shield as a breeding ground for talent.
In the first few decades of the Shute Shield, the already well-established university club fast became the team to beat.
The year I started had just been our 150th year anniversary. So particularly at the time, it was a very big point as a new starter. You're not just coming and joining any club, you're joining a club with a rich history, fully aware of what a big deal it was to wear a blue and gold hoop jersey.
I knew that we went back to 1863. I knew that we were the oldest rugby club in Australia and the fourth oldest, I think, in the world. So there was huge heritage at the university. And you quickly meet people like Michael Hawker, David Brockhoff, Rupert Rosenblum, you know, some of the great stalwarts of our club. And you very quickly get a learning of the history of the club.
All the way through to the recent success it's had over the probably last 15, 20 years now.
That's full time! The students reign supreme! 2022 champions of the Charter Hall Shute Shield!
I played a decade for the Wallabies, captained the team for half that period, and what I recall was very special was our desire to pull on the Sydney University jersey as much as you possibly could. And I would have played probably a dozen matches for university on a Sunday after playing a test match on a Saturday, and I loved it. You know, we might have, you know, half a dozen, maybe 8 beers after a test match. You might have had an after-match dinner against the nation you'd played against on the Saturday. But I fortunately was super fit and it didn't really knock me about, and I just loved getting up the next morning, going out to university and playing for your club after a test match.
They come again, Weatherbridge, Carroll. Here's Hughes for the corner, must score. Try to Dennis Hughes.
In the late 1950s, live games began to be televised. This coincided with the emergence of a very strong, Wallaby-laden Northern Suburbs team.
There's full time. The Northern Suburbs has won the 1964 Rugby Premiership by 27 points to 13.
When you think about the golden era, as we call it at Norse, it was a period of almost a decade of a superior team in that competition. My grandfather would take me and my brother to North Sydney Oval to watch a great Norse team. I must say we did climb the fig tree, we did get distracted, but I do remember the greats of John Thornett, Roy Prosser, Andy Town.
Down again, a great take.
Great Wallaby players, and they had some fabulous non-Wallaby players, all contributing to a golden era for Norse.
From the mid-60s through to the mid-90s, Randwick dominated the competition, playing a fast, expansive, entertaining brand of rugby.
Catchpole, the open side, looking for the gap, he's through the gap. Little Catchpole flying, he'll score himself. What a wonderful try. Ken Catchpole, the fellow's a genius.
To illustrate their dominance, during that period, they played 16 straight grand finals, winning 12.
Oh, competing! Brilliant stuff!
The Galloping Greens became everyone's fiercest rival.
Well, I think we're rivals with all clubs, and all clubs would say the same thing, but probably our biggest rival is Randwick, our neighbours just down in Coogee. Been a wonderful club over the years, produced some wonderful players, but our boys always seem to get up a bit more to play against Randwick.
Well, Eric Tweedale, who this stand's named after, started at juniors, and we all came of age in the 70s, and we had a point to prove that Parramatta was a genuine threat, and it was good to stick it up to Randwick's and Eastern Suburb and Gordon teams.
Under the post, and Rod Butterham, the captain, is racing away for a match-winning try. Parramatta have won their first grand final. What a fantastic finish.
Parramatta and Randwick hated each other. Like, hate is a strong word, but we did. They were the best of the best, and beating them was always nice. You could play against test players and judge where you were in the pecking order. In the mid-80s, we won 2 premierships against Randwick, who are a common foe.
The Randwick team ran the ball. That was our trademark. That was our team identity.
Running the ball, running straight, and having 10s that actually could play the ball, loop round, go again and again. So Mark Eller, David Knox, Lloyd Walker.
Particularly in our era, where we were lucky enough to play with the Ellers.
It's with Glenn Eller, sliding back inside, still going, looking for support. Over the top to Mark Eller. Mark Eller moving towards the line, and on to Gary Eller. And Gary Eller comes down towards the post. Another Eller. They're everywhere.
Yeah, we had Campese come in, we had Poitevin come from University of New South Wales.
And Walker, cut out to Knox. Campese's outside, and it's another try.
We had a team that was capable of stretching the All Blacks in '88. When you got a club team that could do that, and they were the world champions. So, we were lucky enough to have good players, again, exceptional coach, good mixture.
But also, too, I think there was a never say die view of Randwick. It was just almost an assumption you had to get to the grand final. And I played here 11 years, we made 11 grand finals.
And over goes Simon Poitevin for his second try, being as cheeky as you like.
As the decades rolled on, the rivalries between teams became more intense. Tribalism in club rugby was alive and well.
I think the rivalry and tradition that's associated with the Shute Shield keeps rugby quite relevant.
So the big rivals obviously were, East is always our rivals. Parramatta, Eastwood were a strong club. Gordon, those were the sort of the big clubs of those days. Warringah then started to emerge, and Warringah became a very dominant club. Rod McQueen, my great mate, and Warringah coach, never won against us. It was a beautiful thing.
The Manly v Warringah derby is truly, there's none bigger in Australia, there's none bigger in New Zealand. This is like primo. You are essentially hooked into your little niche, your little village. That's what you're about, and it's fierce.
We were always known as the students, and I think a few of the clubs, in particular the Warringahs, the Randwicks, the Parramattas, they thought that if you got stuck into the students physically, they would implode. It wasn't always the case, because we had some of the nastiest, filthiest forwards ourselves.
The arrival of professionalism in the mid-1990s saw clubs like Gordon, Manly and Eastwood begin to erode the Randwick dominance.
But it was an amazing club to be part of. We had a really strong Colts era, and also we had an amazing great era as well.
A grand final victory.
Great board, and there were quality coaches. And when you have that consistency for a number of years. It can't just happen over 1 year or 2 years. It's got to be, 5 to 10 years. The outcome is you have success as a byproduct. And that was certainly the case when I got to the club. And for me, coming into the Shute Shield, a deep sense of community, a deep sense of belonging to that club and having immense pride in the Highlanders, which was our club. That's something that I absolutely loved.
They're going to cheer him off the field.
83 was the last time Manly won it. Then in 97, Tim Lane came through, who then go on to coach the Wallabies as well, with almost like a Moneyball approach to it all, and just brought this loose group of units together for this magical run in 1997, which saw them go on to win the Shute Shield.
Rob Gallagher, the skipper, will score, he'll come round. It doesn't get any better. You beauty, I'll shove the boys back at Manly.
Truly, that 97 Manly team would beat a number of Super Rugby teams today. They were that good.
And you can say now that Manly are the premiers for 1997.
The 99 grand final was the massive standout for myself. Like, it was the first one for the club.
Down the flank, phenomenal try for the bell. Finishes it up.
I met so many Woodies that just were emotional about the fact that we had done this because they'd been waiting so long. Finally, this team had gone through and broken that duck, which was great. And I think that's what propelled us for the long run. We end up grabbing Jeremy Paul, Justin Harrison, Van Humphries, just these guys that are Wallabies already. It's just because of our connection. Guys, come and play for us. And all of a sudden, that Shute Shield was just almost like a Super Rugby team. So everyone was looking at us going, hey, this is not fair. So in a way, because of our success, it actually built better success for years to come, so that players would then go, look at this is a Wallaby making machine. So that ethos from 99 really transferred into 2001, 2, 3, and so on, because players could see it as an opportunity to go, I need to go to the Woodies because they are producing club players into Wallabies.
As the game at the top embraced professionalism, the Shute Shield maintained an amateur and semi-professional competition.
I cannot speak highly enough of club rugby in terms of Super Rugby and then onto an international level, because if you are super strong here, and I'll go back and I'll be one of those guys who goes, oh, I'll go back in my day. Club rugby in 2000 was insane. Every week you're up against another Wallaby, another Super Rugby player. It was so hard. We only had the 3 Super Rugby teams, but the funnel up was so immense. If you've got older blokes playing Shute Shield, it's making kids tougher that come through. If you are building resilience in them, if you're getting a bloke who's got to be on the tools 40 hours a week, not a professional player, but still finds a way to turn up and go well against a Super Rugby player, go well against an international player. I mean, that's what it's all about. So it is hugely important. Not just Shute, Hospital, John Dent, the whole lot of them are like really key to the success of the game at the top level.
The Shute Shield has produced some incredibly memorable grand finals over the years. Days that are remembered for different reasons.
Grand final day, 2016, to have 16,000 people at North Sydney Oval on a beautiful winter's afternoon, charging onto the field a minute before full time was called to celebrate the victory. I think that was certainly a point when you could say that Shute Shield Club Rugby was really back.
The one that stands out for me, it's a bit of recency bias, but was Warringah winning the competition in 2017.
The Warringah Rats have won the grand final for 2017.
There was a very emotional subtext to it. The captain, Sam Ward, his younger brother, Lockie, only a month or two before the grand final collapsed and died in a lower grade match for the Rats. It devastated the club. Sam came back and played in the finals and went on and captained Warringah to a very emotional win.
Riding a wave of emotion for their friend and teammate, Lachlan Ward.
17,000 people at North Sydney Oval. Sam Ward up on the shoulders, holding the Shute Shield.
They are Shute Shield champions in 2020.
Very lucky to be in that grand final. I think it was the best day of my life.
The double-decade wait is over for Gordon.
Last year's grand final was very special. We worked incredibly hard.
2022 champions.
It's a full club effort to win a Shute Shield. Perfect example last year when we won it, we had 43 players play in first grade. It was a really tight season. There were a lot of up and downs. We had some unexpected losses, some really tough wins. A lot went into getting into that grand final.
Another premiership to Sydney University.
Club rugby is not just about the players. The rugby community is far greater.
We are a community, the Shute Shield, as well as those players who have aspirations to play professional rugby. You've got the guys playing fourth grade who, you know, it's a social outlet. Go down, get a thirst up and have a good time with your mates.
Every time I represented Brumbies or the Wallabies, or at the end of my career, the Rebels, I was an extension of that community. I was an extension of Gordon Rugby, and I would not have done anything like what I did in my career without everyone who gave so much assistance and guidance to me at Gordon Rugby.
The club relies on volunteers, and all our clubs do. Setting up the ground at 7:30, cleaning up the ground at 5:30. Without the volunteers, this Shute Shield wouldn't exist.
It's the volunteers, it's the people in behind us, our supporters. It's not just 15 blokes that go out and play first grade.
Our motto of to better the player, to better the person and to better the community. And I think that resonated not just with our player group, but the community as well.
It is family and community in its entirety. You set your watch to it. Where are you on the weekend? Oval, 3 p.m, I'll see you there. Kids coming, you bet they are. Beers, you know we're having some.
It's club rugby. That drives the grassroots game. It encourages young kids to play rugby. And that's where it all starts.
And that then feeds up into the Super Rugby sides and the Wallabies. So without the Shute Shield, I don't think people would follow rugby as closely as they do.
The Shute Shield has always been a fiercely competitive tribal competition with value and purpose. The game is evolving. Players are fitter and stronger, coaching is better, and clubs are more professional. Club rugby has also evolved culturally and socially too, and the influx of our friends from the Pacific in the last few decades has strengthened all clubs.
We are changing, aren't we? The game is more inclusive, and I think that is crucial for us. We can't discriminate. We must involve those who make up most of our population anyway. It's just a reflection of who we are.
I really look forward to Saturdays. Disappointed when the summer comes round a bit, but it's just great to be here amongst your friends and seeing these young players come through. Even some might end up the Wallabies.
So I think significantly that club competition is going to become so important for rugby to flourish in Australia.
I don't think it'll ever lose its relevance. 100 down, 100 to go.